How's that?
It usually takes a second. Is it in practice mode?
I have no idea.
It says, oh, here we go. Did you pause the recording?
Oh.
I think that's the wrong.
These are the minutes from our last meeting, right?
Yeah, can we bring, the minutes are approved as presented. Can we bring the agenda back up? And I'll catch my breath and I'll slow down in a minute. I'm sorry. All right. With that, let's move on to Agenda Bill 115, awarding an engineering contract
Parametrics.
to Parametrics. I'll leave it from there if you want to go ahead and introduce.
Right. Let's see. Is this mic on?
Yes.
Okay.
You directly into it.
Got it. Okay. 1 second. Let me just share my screen. If I am allowed to. Alrighty. Oh boy, there's a lot going on. Evening, council members and mayor. So this is Agenda Bill 115, which is awarding the engineering contract to Parametrics for the 384th Avenue sewer replacement. Essentially, this is just approving Parametrics to design the sewer main that is about 2,100 feet for the sewer main in between Kimball Creek Avenue Southeast up to Newton. It's that stretch from Encompass, this close to downtown. And so it's just going to be the design of that sewer main. One other item is we're looking at adding a sidewalk into that corridor as well, because we have to essentially redo that entire road because we're going to be trenching. And so if we're going to be paving that area, we might as well investigate the feasibility of adding a sidewalk. But again, this is just for the design and feasibility of it, that sidewalk. And so on exhibits, 1, it's the resolution. 2 is the contract, if anybody wants to take a look. 3 is the scope of work. 4 is the CIP excerpts where this is part of, which is the utility main replacement program. And then on exhibit 5 is the, oh boy, can't quite get, sorry, is just showing the project extents for location of where it is. Is that visible? Yep. And so the total cost for it is $479,000 and $986.69.
These are really exact. That's awesome.
They're engineers.
What, man?
And the amount approved in the 2021-22 biennial for this project?
So budget impacts, which was written by Drew. So this is pulling funding from the water reclamation phase 3 improvements and for the design and using it for this.
You can throw the ball to Drew. He's behind you.
Yeah, Drew would
tag him in.
Sorry, Drew would speak much more better.
So in essence, when council adopted the utilities portion of the CIP back in December of 2020, there wasn't anything necessarily set aside for this work or any sort of kind of sewer main replacement. I think this project is related to the casino agreement. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But in essence,
done with or without the casino, but
this will certainly have an impact, right, on that overall, and probably,
It does need to happen before this, you know, happen.
Right.
It should happen, whether or not.
okay. So with that said, we just recently reached an agreement with the Snoqualmie tribe. This is a component to this, right, for the most part, and so it is quite necessary in order for that construction to kind of continue to proceed. What we're proposing in here is basically an offset. Now, this contract will likely last into the next biennium, which we have appropriated dollars for, right, in the next biennium, 2023, 2024. That was a part of our overall CIP as a part of this utility, main and drainage system replacement program. However, what we're missing is how much are we going to spend this year? It's unlikely we're going to spend the full $479,000 or so, but a component of that will be spent this year. What we're proposing is anything that is spent in this biennium is offset by the budget that we have available by the Water Reclamation Facility Phase 3 project. And so that is kind of what we wrote here, is we would offset some of that. It's unlikely, very unlikely, highly unlikely that we would encumber, you know, the remaining portion of the Water Reclamation Facility Phase 3 improvement budget, which is why we believe there's an opportunity to take a component of this and reappropriate that towards this project here, the 384th project. So with that said, there's also a component to this regarding the sidewalk replacement program. Roughly $90,000 of the design work is tied to that itself, which consequently we have a remaining budget of the sidewalk replacement program within this biennium of roughly $104,000 or so. So the sidewalk replacement program in this biennium would support that $90,000 design work if we happen to spend that in totality this biennium on that. So confusing, complicated, no doubt, but hopefully I actually wrote quite a bit about that in the budget impact statement, and so be happy to entertain any questions you may have. Thank you.
So the water reclamation phase 3, we have an unspent budget of $3.8 million?
Yes, we will if we transfer, right, or make that reappropriate $479,000 from that, or the component that's tied to the utility from the water reclamation facility to this work.
Okay, what I'm, okay, I don't see it in here. Okay, total budget for water reclamation facility phase 3 is what? What I'm looking for is, do you have $390,000 expected underrun on the phase 3 to cover this expenditure, or are you just spending today's money for tomorrow's things?
So I would say yes to the first one. I did check this. Obviously, I didn't have a full discussion regarding the water reclamation facility phase 3 budget. We're kind of ready to go in the situation. So I can't necessarily provide you with the data right before you to say this is the project budget for this biennium for the water reclamation facility, subtracted out for any sort of design work that may have been completed so far, plus anything that may have been encumbered. And I'm assuming when I looked into that, we had a remaining budget for the water reclamation facility phase 3 of $3.8 million unspent for this, or unencumbered for this 2-year period right now.
Correct, but again, back to my base question, what was the water reclamation facility budget? And with all we've got, what are we expecting to spend on it? What's the difference of that, and is that difference enough to cover the $390,000 we're talking here? Or am I gonna leave that budget underfunded by this action?
So from looking into this, when I did this work, and I would have the same question that you did, right?
I expect you to.
Right? The answer is no, we're not, compromising, right, this budget for that. Obviously, part of the difficulty is you're not seeing the work. So the question is, you want us to probably show our work, and I'm telling you, indeed, the answer to your question is no, we're not harming this as a result, but I know you want us to show our work, so.
Okay. Other question. So, I understand this needs to be done in support of casino and in support of the comp plan overall, utility plan overall. but having made that statement, does it require it that it be brought forward? Or can it be still done in its originally planned time and meet the requirement of the casino and the facilities and the utilities plan?
So to have this done by early 2025?
Well, my question is, why are we pulling it forward?
Because this doesn't even happen until the casino is completed, and we want to get started on it before. We don't want to rush to get it completed before the casino expansion is done. And this allows us to do that.
So you said earlier that this was needed regardless of the casino, but you're saying that the casino has now accelerated the need for this project. Okay.
So I'll just add, as a part of my overall statement, I said that the city will have a remaining water reclamation facility phase 3 improvement budget of $3.8 million, which is unlikely to be completely encumbered within the approximately 5 months left to go, which means I did the calculation. When you take account for this alone, you're going to have a remaining unencumbered budget of $3.8 million. So you started with the original budget, you subtracted out, right, for example, how much we've spent against that project budget, plus how much has been encumbered. And then when you take this component and subtract that out as well, you're going to have a remaining water reclamation facility phase 3 budget of, within this biennium, of $3.8 million. And it's unlikely we're going to be bringing another design amendment or contract forward for the remaining portion of the year. So that's likely.
The word unlikely, okay?
Well,
I'm looking for you to do math questions for me, and I'm getting essay answers, and it's the essay words that throw me off, because unlikely means maybe, coulda, shoulda, and I need your best dollar figure of what you think it is, and if that's it, state it as such, couch it with those words. It throws me. Sorry, and it's probably just me.
No,
He's looking at me like, "Are you nuts?"
No, I think I have a slightly different question, probably a more fundamental question, or elementary question rather. I love it when you guys find money that we didn't need for a project and apply it to another. But I'm wondering, what are we not getting done if we have $390,000?
well,
Do you understand my question?
It's not that the project is not going to get done. This is not money that is saved. We're dealing with timelines with bright lines, so the budget is a bright line, right? But these projects often shift in and out of bienniums, for example, and so really we're going to be completing this water reclamation facility phase 3 project. We just thought it would happen sooner than what it is right now, which is probably delaying quite a bit of that into the next 2-year biennium.
So the money that would have been spent further down the road on this project can be spent on the things that we're maybe putting off to get this part of the project done first?
So ultimately, the amount of money that we're going to spend on this should be coming from that utility main and replacement, right, project budget. So in essence, we're accelerating some of that into this year. Whatever we spend in this year should be counted against next year's and the next 6-year budget overall for that utility main and replacement project budget. And so Parks and Public Works wants to accelerate that work into this year so that they're ready to go when that comes. I'm not trying to take anything away from the water reclamation facility phase 3 project budget. I'm just trying to use the appropriation that was given in this biennium to support this project through this period. But really,
Okay, so the water reclamation facility
Joe's got
is
his
not.
hand up, by the way. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
hang on, Joe, just 1 minute. Water reclamation facility is not executing as fast as we thought it was, and therefore it is underspending in this biennial?
yes.
Not that the project will be cheaper over whatever according to its project estimate, it's just spending at a slower rate than we thought for this biennium. So the proposal is to take that money, the biennial underspend on the water reclamation project, and use it for this project in water, okay, in water mains, and what it'll end up happening, and then the next biennial will in essence have to do the flip switch of this to get water reclamation. It will have to go up to cover the more expenses expected, and I would assume funds will come out of, what's the fund that this project,
This is all for fund for, yeah.
Water utilities?
417, yeah, the utilities capital fund.
Utilities
So-
capital, so we'll have to put money back in utilities capital to cover, well, no. I'm
It's all
sorry.
paid out of the same fund.
We're all
but,
taking
yeah.
fund, but we're
And this is
just
sewer,
taking
yeah.
biennial specific funding for one project that's going long to bring forward another project in design.
So I have a follow-up question, but after
Yeah, let's get Joe.
Councilman Johnson.
Go ahead, Councilman Johnson.
Thanks. I think that I'm starting to follow the math. I also quickly will point out that it is difficult to hear responses when people don't come up to the mic. I'd appreciate that. Okay, so on the 3.8 million, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. Was that left over from the 2021 to 2022 biennium? With 5 months left, we still have that much that was expected to be spent by the end of 2022? Or is this how much is in a project set aside over a much longer period of time? I was just trying to understand when was the 3.8 million supposed to have been spent?
It's in the biennium,
Okay.
but this project is certainly expected to last longer than just a 2-year period, so.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
Around 11, 12 million in total.
Got it. Thank you.
You got a follow-up?
So my follow-up question is, by doing the projects in this order, are we anticipating the work to be more efficient and potentially save us money in any way?
I'll take that one. By combining the sidewalk, possible sidewalk project with this project, you will definitely be saving money.
Okay.
Whether or not we can pull off the sidewalk project, we won't know till we spend the $90,000. But having all that construction occur at once, you're gonna lessen the impact on the citizen, and your dollars are gonna go a lot farther.
It would be, I would love to know what the anticipated savings is by doing the work in that order, if that's not too onerous to figure out.
So part of it is because it depends on cost of materials at the time, but just off the top, you're gonna save on mobilization. You're only gonna pay for one mobilization, and that could be anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 per project.
I like that. It's like finding a coupon. Great.
a big coupon.
Mayor Ross?
I'm excited that you are looking at the design for the sidewalk, because that was the neighborhood behind Encompass. There's a lot of people that walk that road, and it has definite shoulders, drop-offs, and so they've requested it. So I'm glad that we're gonna be looking at that, so.
It's gonna be a lift to get it, but
Right.
it is engineeringly possible,
Right.
at least from our look at it. We're bringing in experts to figure it all out.
Yeah, it's located next to a wetland, which is why it's difficult to add impervious surface.
And a bridge.
Well, we're not going across the bridge at the moment.
So what action are we supposed to be taking tonight?
The action then is to recommend this make recommendation to council and to make a decision whether it is consent or non-consent. My put would we move this forward to council. I am not comfortable at this stage with it being on consent.
I agree.
Okay.
Can we move it to council with a recommendation?
Unless we had, really, if you move it to council, you're making a recommendation.
Okay.
If in the unusual circumstances where we either,
So if we want to make a recommendation, we need to speak up at
we
council.
need to speak up at council
Right.
and make it.
Okay. Right. Well, I move we do that.
Let's do that. You okay with that, Councilman Johnson?
I think that was a thumb.
I think it was a thumbs up.
Yeah,
Either that
okay.
or I'm number one on his list. So let's move to agenda
It was
bill
definitely a thumb.
22-125 Sandy Cove Park Bank Protection Restoration Phase 2 rescoping.
Oh yeah, this one's scary.
Assistant Director Hamlin's online to take this one.
Okay.
Are you
Jeff,
going to
wanna
read that
give
or?
us background?
Sure. So we are now through the pre-design phase of the Sandy Cove permitting and design, and we're ready to move into the final phase of design. The project has evolved, I would say. We haven't changed anything. It's evolved in that the permitting has changed. We have the Corps of Engineers and the state involved with the permitting, and there's multiple agencies. So it's taken longer to get through the design. Plus there's staff shortages at Corps of Engineers. So there's been some delays, but for the most part, it's the same project. And this was anticipated all along that we would eventually come back to council to get approval to move forward with the final design. So that's where we're at this point. And we're seeking permission to move forward with this amendment and to get the final design started. As far as the budget impacts, we have it budgeted, but again, like similar to the last project, we didn't assign enough money for this year to do it. So we're going to borrow money from another project, which isn't going to happen this year, that we did have budgeted for this biennium, and we're going to borrow that money to pay for this.
Which project was that again?
That was the Kimball Creek Restoration Project, which I'm trying to get started, but it's taking a little bit longer. That's going to be a collaboration with the tribe and the county, and I'm trying to get that moving forward. And so we have a couple $1 million in that budget that we will not be spending in the next year or two. So we can actually take that money and move it forward onto this project.
But the taking of that money does not in and of itself delay the Kimball Creek project any further. The Kimball Creek project is delayed regardless.
Yeah, so remember, we had this discussion a while back when we did our field trip. You know, right. We take our best guess at how much it's going to cost and when we're going to do the project, and we build a schedule and a budget.
No, I remember that conversation. That I just wanted to make sure that I understood you properly. Reallocating these funds is not going to add anything to the delay on the Kimball Creek project.
No.
It's just, okay, understood.
No, it's the same money for both projects. It's just the timeline has changed. And because we have these biannual budgets that we work with, we have to account for the dollars spent in this biennium. And so if one project is going to be delayed, that's money not spent. So it's available to spend on other projects. So we have to move projects around. They all have different timelines, and a lot of it's related to permitting and, you know, political issues and everything else. So we don't have as much control as we would like on moving projects forward. And we kind of have to take our opportunities where they come. And this is one where, you know, we want to get to Sandy Cove construction by next summer if we can, before we lose any more park. And so we're trying our best to accelerate. And so we're, again, moving things around a little bit with the budgets. But the projects are essentially the same. The money's the same.
What was the original timeline for Sandy Cove design?
We were it would have been my preference to construct it this summer, but that wasn't going to happen because of the delays with the permitting. So it looks like we're going to be doing it. I think we had the money budgeted for construction out in 2025, or 2024, and we want to get it to construction 2023.
Okay, so I'm really struggling at this stage. Okay, one, we council should not be wire brushing you, is the term I use in my parlance, when you are working within your appropriations. Okay, you're doing your job. Okay, but some of the explanation doesn't jive in my head. in that I have delays due to pandemic and staff resources, yet the project wasn't planned till 2024. So I got neurons going tilt, but I'm not gonna ask because you're working within your appropriation, okay, guys? But we gotta work on these stories, and we need to probably do some level setting at council of when is it appropriate to dive in on these things. I do appreciate you're trying to tell us the story, but it may have just been meat you didn't need to feed us, and we're chewing on it. Do you have any questions?
No, I want to get this project going. I feel like we're losing square footage in Snoqualmie every day that we don't do this. Scares the heck out of me. So, did you have any more questions about this one?
I do not at this stage. Councilman Johnson, you're okay?
Yes, I heard what I needed to hear, and I am eager to get the project going as much as anyone else.
Okay. So due to some of those questions, though, I do recommend that move this forward to council with recommendation, but non-consent.
Great.
In case we have to do
Seconded.
Explanation. Okay. Let's then move to the other agenda bill. Oh, sorry, lost my place. Hang on a second. Move to agenda bill 22-126 amendment number 4 with Aspect Consulting for water rights permitting support geotechnical monitoring.
I think that one's Jeff too, correct?
Yep. So we've been going through our water rights portfolio and updating that and looking for more water in the process. And we've had Aspect working on this since 2015 to help us out. And a year or so ago, we started looking at ASR, which is Aquifer Storage and Recovery, as an option to increase our water right, to get more water essentially for the community, for consumption. We also have drought issues and we have resiliency issues to address. ASR is a good option for us as far as bang for the buck. It's a way to get quite a bit, a fairly good increase, something in the order of 140 acre feet per year of more water. And it also has very good environmental impacts in that it retimes the basin a little bit. The concept is to take more water from our canyon springs during the wet season. Right now, we take a very small fraction, about 1 cubic foot per second of water out of canyon springs, which is a continuous water right. That's 24/7, 365 days a year. We're allowed to take 1 cubic foot per second. We don't use that much water in the winter. And it's our sole source during the winter. So the idea is to take that extra water that we don't use and with an increased water rate of another 0.5 cubic foot per second and put it into the aquifer. We're going to literally not pump it, we're just going to let it flow right into the aquifer in our south well field and pump up the aquifer that we draw our water from in the summer. What that does is ensure we have a full aquifer every summer when the well fields come online, but it also leaks out, and it leaks out below the falls, and it helps maintain river flows during the summer months, which is a big benefit. So we applied for a grant through Ecology for their stream flow restoration grant, and we received $477,400 or thereabouts to do a pilot study. So what this agenda bill seeks is approval to move forward to to start this. We already have approval to accept the grant, but to move forward with this feasibility study and try to get our increased water right. So as you can see on the budget impacts, it's $674,400 worth of work. $477,000 of that is paid for through a grant from Ecology, which is indeed very good bang for the buck when you're looking for new sources of water.
Okay, yeah, so at least this action is, again, 400. We have grant for 400, leaving $197,000 that needs to be city funded.
That is correct.
I'm not gonna do the math at this stage.
Is this-
What? Go ahead.
This is a one-time thing, right? We do this study and figure this out, and if it works, we get to do this going forward.
Correct. Well, this will support our application for what's called a reservoir permit to use the aquifer as a reservoir. But yes,
Yeah.
it's pretty much a done deal if we're successful, and it looks like it will be.
Yeah. That seems like enormous bang for the buck, as Jeff put it.
Councilman Johnson, do you have any questions?
I just wanted to make sure they understood. Is the aquifer currently being withdrawn faster than it is being replenished?
No.
Okay,
But
just wanna make sure.
there are years. In 2015, we did have drought conditions, and we were running, the aquifer level was running low, and we did have an issue with one of our wells.
Okay. And this is an unconfined aquifer, so we aren't having all the compaction issues that you'd have in the confined aquifer.
It's a deep aquifer, and we don't have compaction issues. No, it's the Olympia aquifer. It's the deep formation. Those wells are 500 to 600 feet deep, and we don't have that issue with the compacting aquifers.
Great. That was it.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I can't remember the term. The replenish field is up on, I believe, on the North Fork of the Snoqualmie River, up where they were proposing that power station at one time. That replenishes this. So the recharge comes from there and flows through. To your question of contained aquifer.
Yeah, and it's just not just the North Fork, but it's really the whole Snoqualmie Valley feeds it. But mostly what comes off of the mountains out of the Snoqualmie Basin.
Do you have any other questions? All right, same proposal at this stage. I propose moving it forward, but non-consent.
Yeah, I mean, I propose consent, except that I want everybody in the council to hear how awesome this idea is. So I like your idea. Seconded.
You okay, Councilman Johnson?
Also, I think that also because we'd be shifting some funds around, I think it'd be good for council to see it and to think about it.
And the ghost in the closet here agrees with you. We had a knock on the back door. All right. So let's proceed with that non-consent. Thank you. Back to the beginning. And from there, I think we have a discussion item.
I think Mike had something, right?
They dropped a plate outside. Not a dinner plate, a sidewalk plate over the water meter. Okay, I'm happy to announce that Matt Hedger has applied and been accepted for water supervisor. So he has decided to take the plunge into management, so to speak. Sorry, I am a dad, so dad jokes do come out every now and then. He is, I think his first day was last Monday, and we are excited to have him in that position, and we are working with him to show him the ropes and get things going. So we are very, very proud of him.
Fantastic.
Yep. Agreed.
So is he already super, or is he just an intendant right now?
He is super.
He's already super. Okay, that's
He's been super.
Been on the job for a few days. He's already there. That's great.
All right, with that, I believe we've come to the end of the agenda. Are there any other items we need to discuss this tonight? Yeah, except my lips need to work.
I would just say that you chaired this really well.
Okay. All right, with that, I'll move to adjourn if there are no objections.
Seconded.
We are adjourned. Thank you all this evening.
All right, thank you.